Hello, and welcome everybody. My name is Galet Bolaños, and I'm a retention specialist at the Academic Advancement Center. I also serve as the Thrive coordinator. And Tanya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Tanya Channel, and I am the graduate student with Higher Education, Student Affairs, and Leadership. I also have 5 years experience in working in the financial aid office.
Awesome, thank you. So like I said, thank you all so much for watching this video. This one is focusing on the Colorado State University scholarship application, as well as the FAFSA, which both actually opened today. Today is October 1st, 2020. And so we're just going to be giving you all a couple of guidelines, expectations, tips, and a rundown of what you should be expecting from doing the CSUSA and or the FAFSA. Okay. All right, so what is the CSUSA? I do imagine that some of you all watching now have already completed the FAFSA in the past, or this is the first time that you may be doing the FAFSA, or I'm sorry, the CSUSA. So basically what it is, it stands for the Colorado State University Scholarship Application, which is a competitive scholarship application for many of the scholarships here at CSU, all right? It's an application that consists of some fill in the blanks, some just kind of like putting in some demographic information and some student information and some essays. Okay, this one application gets sent out to several different ones that are again available here at Colorado State University. Okay, and this is also an application that opens every single October 1st. And then it closes every March 1st. So as long as you're a student at CSU, it doesn't matter if you're a freshman, a master's student, an undergraduate, a transfer, getting your second bachelor's, you are qualified to receive scholarships from this application. Okay. All right, so completing the CSUSA. It's pretty straightforward. If you don't know how to find it, how to locate it, it's pretty straightforward. So you want to go into your RAM web, all right, and then you select the CSU Scholarship Application link, which is found under the Financial Information heading. And then from there, it's pretty straightforward. You just want to make sure that you follow the instructions and know that you can always fill out some information and you can save and submit for later. Because know that this is an application that you don't want to do in one night. You want to take some time to make sure that everything is covered, that you answer all the questions, and you have all the information submitted within it. Okay, so basically what I want to do now is just share with you a little bit of tips for those of you who might have already completed it, or for those who are completing it for the first time. This is good things to know in order to make things easier for you. Okay, so the first one is that specifically for the essays that you have to complete for this scholarship application, it's really good. I found it to be really, really helpful for you to write your essays first on a Word document. Okay, this gives you the ability to, or this gives you the advantage of being able to do the spell check as well as having a word count. Okay, because for every essay there is a word count limit, and so that's just a great way for you to make sure that you're not exceeding that limit, and of course that the spelling and the grammar is correct. Okay, once you're done, all you have to do is copy it from the Word document and then just paste it into the text of the application. Okay, another very helpful tip, or at least something for you to know, is that for some of the scholarship applications, for some, depending on your department that you're in, what your major is, they're going to ask for a letter of recommendation. Okay, so you want to make sure that you identify your recommender, who you want to write your letter of recommendation, and so that you tell them ahead of time. All right, it's very common courtesy for you to tell your recommender to write a letter of recommendation for you My personal opinion is to have it, notify them three weeks in advance. Okay, that way they have time to write a thorough and a detailed recommendation for you, and considering that they are probably on a busy schedule as well. Okay, and so please have that in mind. Depending on your college, there could be a recommendation needed or required for you to submit the CSUSA. Okay. All right. Another important thing is that, so something I want to let you all know is that I am a reviewer for a scholarship application for the CSUSA for a particular group or a committee. Okay. So I do have a little bit of knowledge and background about like when it comes to reviewing these scholarship applications, as well as seeing how many that we get. Okay. So we get quite a bit. And something I've noticed is that or it's something, a very helpful tip is that you want to make sure that you're creative in your responses, okay, that you're detailed, that you're actually answering the questions, so that so that you're not automatically dismissed from potentially getting a scholarship, and so that your essay stands out. Okay, you want to make sure you're creative, and that you that we're kind of seeing, we're reading something different. Okay, think about it. From us, from a committee member, we're reading so many different scholarships, and a lot of them are repetitive, or they're just kind of like bland or basic, right? So we want you to be creative. We want you to have a unique story, to have a different way of writing, be creative in the way that you submit these responses, so that again it stands out, and so that we have that that information from you. Okay. Something else that I would say is this is also very helpful for when you're when you're completing your CSU, say for a second or a third time, or thinking about it for the future. It's good to have a template, okay, for your essays. If you don't already have this, it's really good to have. Okay. So what I mean by this is that if you have like a unique situation or a unique experience or a background or a history that you've experienced that you think is going to be really good to include in your essay, go ahead and have that. Include that in a template or like a pre-existing essay, right? And this is good so that you can always have this, and for future scholarships or this CSUSA that you later complete, you'll always have that, and you can just modify it or edit it depending on the semester or any other future things that you're going to be a part of. Okay, so so it's really good that you have this, right? It's just going to make things easier for you, because we know you're already busy. You have a lot of things going on, so so keep that in mind. Okay, and then the final thing that I want to share with you all about tips in completing the CSUSA is it's really good to have your student aid report available, or SAR. That's what the acronym for it. So the student aid report is a document that you are able to obtain after completing your FAFSA. Okay, and this basically has some contact, or I'm sorry, some information on there for you as a student that will be required for you to submit in the CSUSA. Okay, so instead of looking for this information separately as you're completing the CSUSA, know that your SAR has a lot of information that's going to be required. Okay, so yeah, that is something that's not, it's just a tip. It's not required. It's not essential that you have it, but please know it can be very helpful, and it's a time saver. Okay. All right, so that is a little bit about completing the CSUSA. If you do have questions about that, if you have, if you need some support in completing it, please know that you can contact me, or you can contact your retention specialist. They have some time, they know that they are potentially going to be contacted from you or anybody else about students reaching out to them about completing the CSUSA. Okay, so that's a little bit on my part. I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to Tanya, who's going to share with you information about the FAFSA.
Great, thank you. That was great information. So I am going to start with the FAFSA. The first thing is knowing who's eligible for the FAFSA. I have posted the website where you can go and get all of the eligibility requirements, and that's per the Department of Education. So the first one is you need to be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, also hold a valid Social Security number, with the exception of students from the Republic of the Marshall Islands, Federate States of Micronesia, or the Republic of Palau. And you need to be enrolled half-time for direct loans. So half-time means graduate students need to be enrolled in 5 credit hours, and undergraduate students need to be enrolled in 6 credit hours. Also, they do require that you show proof of high school diploma, a GED certificate, or homeschooled credential. And that is really important. If you don't show one of those things, then your financial aid isn't going to be processed. The next step is to gather your documents. So you want to pull out your Social Security number if you don't have it memorized. Also, if you're a dependent student, then you want to get your Social Security number for your parent or your guardian. If you have a driver's license, then pull out your driver's license number. Maybe you have it memorized. This wording comes specifically from the website, and they say to get your alien registration number, get your federal tax returns for both the student, and if you're a dependent, you want to get it for your parents as well. It does request that you put the numbers from your W-2s, unless you use the data retrieval tool. It just depends on how you navigate it. So if you have those W-2s handy, you might as well go ahead and pull them out. Also, if you have your bank account information, stocks, bonds, real estate, assets, if it's handy, then go ahead and just gather all the documents. That way you have it ready to go, and you can just navigate through the FAFSA real quick. So this is going to be the first screen that you see when you log into the FAFSA website. I just did a quick snippet of that. If you're a first-time user, then you'll want to go ahead and create a FSA User ID. Basically, you can just go in there, put in your Social Security number. It's going to ask for your name and an email address. You can have it, you can enter in some challenge questions. It really only takes about 5 or 10 minutes. It's a very simple process. If you're a returning applicant, then you're just going to go ahead and log in and do a FAFSA renewal. Now it's time to get started. So for next year, you're going to click on Start 2021-2022 FAFSA. So I always like to know why I'm doing something. So the why for the FAFSA is you can be awarded grants, scholarships, work study, federal direct loans. I always like to talk about free money. At least they call it free money, as long as you're meeting satisfactory academic progress, which basically that means you're maintaining a 2.0 GPA and enrolled or completing 67% of your classes. And the grants and the scholarships, that's money that you don't have to pay back. It could be institutional aid, need-based scholarships. The work study, that is money that could come from the federal government or from your state government or state, not just the state, and it's money that you work for, and then you receive in a paycheck. Either way, it's money that you don't have to pay back, and it's good. Now, the federal direct loans, that is money that's borrowed. It's usually at, or it is at a lower interest rate, but after you graduate, then it does accumulate interest. So it's something to consider. And once you go through the website, it explains everything in detail. So the next screen that's going to come up on the FAFSA is going to be list your colleges. So you want to enter the CSU school code, which is 001350. And it's important to list at least one college, because if you don't, then you will never receive financial aid. So you want to make sure to always put in your school code. The CSU priority deadline is March 1st, 2021. However, I would encourage you to submit your FAFSA as soon as possible. The reason why is because those need-based scholarships, which could be institutional or just federal, they are awarded on a first come, first served basis. So for example, if your institution only has, I'll just throw out a number like $10,000 available, it's going to be the first students that get their FAFSA in, and however much money they have to award those students. So you want to be first in line to get that money. The next screen that's going to come up is going to be the dependency status. I know these screenshots are a little bit small, but I wanted to introduce both the dependent and independent screens. Also the website for the table of dependency status questions. That way, if you have some more questions, you can research that. Basically, if you're married, supporting an independent or supporting a dependent 51% of the time, active in the military, then you're considered an independent student. Now, again, that's just the basic overall. There is a lot more questions that you can answer, and that website will help you with some special circumstances. So, and when you're in the FAFSA, it does help you navigate through that, and it will direct you. So for dependent students, you want to go ahead and it's going to tell you to enter your parents' demographics, and you do want to put in the parent demographics. Independent students, you can choose to enter your parents' demographics, or you can select no, I don't want to enter my parents' demographics. If you select yes, then it is going to ask you to enter your parents' tax information. And for dependent students, that is why it's asking those questions, because then it leads to the next slide, which is to enter in the data retrieval tool. So students are always encouraged to use the data retrieval tool. The reason why is because if you're selected for verification, then you may not be asked to submit a tax transcript, because the IRS has already submitted your taxes directly from the IRS website, and so they're assuming that all of that information is correct. Again, you want to submit your 2019 taxes for the 2021-2022 FAFSA, because we're always going by last. And so sometimes that gets a little bit confusing, but it is kind of nice because we know that the 2019 taxes are completed. One other little tip is that the FAFSA asks for the marital status, and you just want to remember that the marital status is going by the date that you're submitting your FAFSA. So for independent students, when you're using the data retrieval tool, and when I was an undergraduate, this always confused me a little bit, because it does create a pop-up that you're leaving the FAFSA, and the screen, and I did a couple screenshots, it says the US government system is for authorized use only, and it takes you to the IRS website. And that just was confusing for me. I didn't know if I should click on that because it just looked a little bit sketchy. However, this is so that you can use the data retrieval tool, which is recommended. And so you want to go ahead and click through those boxes if you decide to use that. So, you know, it just looked a little odd to me when I was an undergraduate student, and so I thought I would share that. And then after you go through those screens, if you don't click on it, it will come up again and it will ask you one more time, give you a second opportunity to go ahead and use the data retrieval tool. Not all students are eligible for data retrieval, so this is for eligible students, and it just says, do you want to use it? You do have the opportunity to enter everything in manually. So you can go through that process. Examples of that would be for students who are going to go ahead and sign and print their FAFSAs, then you would just skip through this. The next thing that you'll see is this screenshot here, and it's the FAFSA Summary. This gives you the opportunity to review all of the information that you've submitted is correct. You'll also see green check marks. So all of these green check marks means that you've went through all of the boxes, everything that they've wanted you to enter, and you have completed all of the steps. At this point, I always encourage students, and also when I was completing my FAFSA, to go through everything and make sure that everything matches up with what you have. So review your taxes, make sure that the gross income was typed in correctly, you didn't mistype a number, your driver's license was typed in correctly, your date of birth, all of that stuff just matches up with what you have. And you can also print or email a copy to your records. Keep in mind that this is saved within the website and you can access it using your FSA username and password. So now you're ready to sign and submit. You want to agree to the terms, and then the student can sign the FAFSA with their student FSA username and password. It's important to remember that if you're a dependent student, then your parent is going to sign using their personal username and password, which is separate. And so, two different signatures that need to be signed. You also have the option to print, sign, and mail in the signature page. So if your application is missing a signature and you do not have the FSA ID, you can always print the signature page by selecting Print Signature Page on the My FAFSA or Signature Status page. You just want to make sure to use the address that they have provided for you. You don't want it to get lost in the mail or anything like that, so just make sure to use that specific address. And keep in mind that there is additional processing time when you're mailing it. So like if you get busy, with midterms or gathering documents or whatever the case may be, you just want to keep in mind that it's going to take a little bit more time to get that processed. So now that everything's complete, you want to make sure to get your confirmation page. So that indicates that the FAFSA has been successfully submitted and the FAFSA part is done. So after everything has been completed and you've turned everything in, it's been received by financial aid. Some students get selected for verification. What verification means is that the financial aid office and the Department of Education need to verify information that's been reported on the FAFSA, and they want to make sure that everything is correct. So the important things to remember about verification is as soon as you get that email that you've been selected, you want to get back to them and submit all the required documents that have been requested, and you want to submit them by the requested date or as soon as possible. Okay, some things to help to maybe avoid verification might be using the IRS data retrieval tool if it's available to you. If you know that you're selected for verification every year, then you might want to just print your tax transcripts early, and have them ready and available for the financial aid office. And if you have specific questions about verification, then I encourage you to contact the experts. And those experts are going to be in the financial aid office. For CSU AAC students, we do have some liaisons that work with our students, and that's Heidi Steckert and Brandy Ortiz. And so we have included their contact information. It's right there on the screen. So if you want to reach out to them specifically, or we encourage you to reach out to them specifically, and they can answer any questions that you might have. So I just want to say thank you for joining us today. Remember to do the CLF. Is it a questionnaire, Galeth?
Evaluation.
Evaluation.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you get credit for watching this today. We've also included our contact information. If you have additional questions regarding the presentation, feel free to reach us by email. And we do have some websites, and I think that Galeth is going to email those out to you.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Tanya, for that. Yeah, that was awesome. That was really great information. Yeah, thank you very much. So yes, as Tanya said, if you are a Thrive student, please make sure to submit the evaluation. This evaluation link can be found on our website. Okay, that's aac.colorado-state.edu, and click on the Thrive tab. You're going to see this this recording as well as the link for the evaluation. If you're Thrive, you have to do this in order to get credit. If you're not in Thrive, you are not required to complete the evaluation. However, it's great feedback. So anything you provide, any feedback for us about this presentation would be very helpful. And yes, specific questions about the FAFSA, about completing it, go to the experts. Heidi is amazing, so is Brandy. However, questions about this presentation, please reach out to Tanya or myself. There is a contact information. And thank you all. Thank you all so much for joining us, for watching this video. I hope it was informative, and yeah, we hope you have a great semester. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.